All right. All right. What is going on, everybody? Welcome and welcome back to the show. This is Chaos and Charcuterie. This is the live visual segment of my podcast, Real Reality Realness, where I give you updates and news when it comes to the podcast. I read through and dissect news and headlines that I find interesting on the internet. And then I do a segment called Ask Ashley, where I give unsolicited advice to people who write into advice columns, all whose names conveniently start with A. Hmm. So, what's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate every single one of you guys tuning in and watching. Happy Friday. I feel so great. Let me know how your week has been. Let me know how you're going into your weekend. What are you looking forward to going into the weekend? I have so many things going on. Like I said, I'm still interviewing 7 days a week, so I have plenty of interviews to look forward to. I am starting to record my new segment, Groove and Gravity, with my friend Dave Lennon, which is going to be coming out in March. It is going to be a collaborative segment on both of our podcasts. His is Lost in the Groove, mine is Real Reality Realness, where we are going to take an artist and dive into their impact on both us as people and the world at large. And we're going to do that through analyzing and dissecting their life stories as well as their catalogs, their discographies, and their contributions to the entertainment industry. Excuse me. So, our first season, we're going to be starting with Michael Jackson and R. Kelly. We're going to be picking people who are interesting, fascinating, controversial, obviously, and we're going to be just diving into what they've contributed to our own lives, what they've contributed to music, and the impact that their lives and their legacies have had on the world at large. So we're starting with Michael Jackson and R. Kelly. We're going to be doing all type of people from Prince, Grace Jones, Lisa Left Eye Lopez, and Natina Reed. We're going to do the 27 Club. It's going to be such a great show. So make sure you guys are tuning in for that in March. Also, make sure you guys check out Drag Cap, which is my Drag Race recap series with Giselle from the Who Asked Me podcast. We do that every Monday, and it comes out Monday evening or Tuesday morning, just depending on how good my Wi-Fi is that day. Don't judge me. But with that being said, um let us talk about some podcast news, because I also before I get to podcast news as well, make sure you guys are subscribed to my spin-off podcast, Housewives History, with me and Megan as well, which is the weekly podcast we um where we recap an episode that aired that week in history, and we recap it, do deep dives, go on tangents, play games, and just, talk about all things Housewives. Make sure you catch that, usually out on Fridays. Excuse me. Today on the show, we had Chauncey A. McQueen, who none of you are ready for this interview. Chauncey came in ready to share. He came in ready to spill. He came in ready to spill the tea. Okay. So here's the description from his episode. Podcast host, entrepreneur, and executive producer and reality star Chauncey A. McQueen joins the podcast to lay it all out on his exit from Set It Off ATL, the full details of how his family played part in that decision, and his process for putting pen and paper in ATL. But first, we get to know his background as a makeup artist and how that led him into Musk Lab skincare. We have a deep dive into his How to Struggle as an Entrepreneur podcast, what's next for him in business, his show, Pen and Paper ATL, his family, and more. This episode is also dedicated to the life and legacy of Chauncey's mother, who's still with us, but she's fighting the fight of and for her life. So I wanted to make sure that this episode, where her son spoke so candidly and so beautifully about her, I wanted to make sure that, I dedicated that specifically to her. So make sure you guys go and check that out. That is out right now today. Each new episode of the podcast comes out on Monday. I'm sorry. Each new episode of the podcast comes out every day, Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Central. And on Monday, I'm going to be having on the podcast London Gordon. He is a reality star. He is also from the show Set It Off ATL. He's going to be coming on and talking about his experience being on reality television, how he balances that with his faith, what he's looking forward to going into 2023, all the things that he has coming up, and so much more. So make sure you guys check out that. He does a lot of philanthropy work and works with foundations and things like that. So make sure you guys go and check out that interview where he explains all of that. It's such a great conversation. I appreciate them both. Also, I want to give a shout out to everybody who's been on the podcast this week. I want to give a shout out to the comedian and host Danny Murphy, who came on the show on Monday. I want to thank Travis Ware, who came on the show on Tuesday, who is the executive producer and one of the hosts of the group chat on Chasing Reality on YouTube. I want to thank Juju Andon, who is an incredible rapper. Thank you so much for coming on the show, as well as creating that incredible clip that you made for our episode. It is so funny. It's cut together like a blooper reel. It's on both of our pages. Go and look at both of our Instagram channels. Mine is The Real Reality Realness. His is I Am Juju Andon. Make sure you follow him while you're there. He cut together a clip, a clip post of different sound bites from the podcast, and it is so funny because it's cut together like a blooper reel, and it is so freaking funny. Just go catch that. Thank you, Juju, for that. I want to know if you did that. I wish I could pay you to do that for every single episode, because that shit was hilarious. That shit was great. Anyway, Thursday, Mark with a Q came on. Thank you so much. Filmmaker, reality star, personality, all the things of the things. Thank you, Mark, for being here. You also shared a great deal about your story as well. Make sure you guys go and check out that interview. It came out yesterday. And of course, today, as I mentioned before, Chauncey McQueen, thank you so much for being here. Thank you to everybody who is listening to the podcast, because before I get into the mess and get into the things when it comes to the headlines for the day, I want to just thank everybody who listens to the podcast in all of the countries, all of the states, all of the places, all of the platforms, all of the demographics, all of the age groups. Thank you all so much for listening to this show, because I just had the biggest streaming day of my entire podcast yesterday. It is crazy. Like, I've never had over 100 listens in one day. I had 109 yesterday, and I feel like that's a big achievement for my podcast. I really appreciate everybody who's come and listened, who's discovered, who's tuned in. Thank you so much. I hope that you stick around. Please subscribe. Please give me a notification bell. Click. Give me a rating. Give me a comment. Let me know what you think about the show, because I appreciate every single one of you guys for listening. I'm always checking the analytics. I'm always checking the numbers. I'm always checking the comments and seeing who's saying what, and who's watching, and where you're watching from. So to all the people in all the countries, thank you all so much. I appreciate you all for being here. I love every single one of you from the bottom of my green heart emoji, just like I tell you every episode. So with that being said, let's get back into the mess. Let's go to the headlines. I want to start with the fans calling the police on Britney Spears because she deleted her Instagram. Okay, so according to the Daily News, over-exuberant fans called police to Britney Spears' California home overnight on Tuesday after she deleted her Instagram account, according to reports. The fans worried the pop star was in danger after she removed the account. The fans worried the pop star was in danger after she removed the account, police told sources. Okay. When officers with the Ventura County Sheriff's Office arrived at Spears' home in Thousand Oaks, they learned there was no danger, TMZ reported. Spears, 41, deletes and restores her Instagram account frequently. As of Wednesday afternoon, it was still offline. In September 2021, she removed the account after getting engaged. She did it again in August 2022 before releasing a new song. In December 2022, she claimed to occasionally press the wrong button when deleting her account. I know my Instagram has been down a few times, but honestly, I did it the last 2 times myself. Oops, I accidentally pressed the wrong button, she wrote in a return post. Also, last month, Spears' husband, Sam Asghari, asked fans to respect her privacy. Even though even before she fought for and eventually gained freedom from her conservatorship, Instagram was Spears' go-to social media platform. In April 2020, she detailed how she accidentally burned down her home. 2 years later, she used the site to announce her pregnancy and later devastating miscarriage. Um, y'all, listen, I appreciate that the fans care about Britney. I can appreciate that the fans are worried, but this is a difficult situation to navigate. And I don't know if y'all should go and be jumping over the fence every time she deletes her Instagram account, because it's actions like that and drastic reactions to things like that that are probably things that got her into the conservatorship in the first place when negatively utilized by her family. So I don't want you guys to make it seem like she's so unstable every time she deletes her Instagram account that now all of a sudden the courts or somebody is going to feel the need to put a watch out on her because her fans jump into a tizzy every time she don't want to be bothered. Do you get what I'm saying? Like sometimes I feel like you just need to let people be. Like I understand that Brittany has been in a conservatorship. I understand that we are all worried about Brittany's mental health and how she's doing and all of those things. I completely understand that. And I'm not saying that you're wrong to feel the way that you feel. However, let's look at it from a different angle, because if a court or a doctor or somebody who has the ability to go and file another conservatorship on her feels that they can use her fans being that, what I'm trying to say is that you guys feeling it necessary to call the police on her when she does something like delete her Instagram account, that can be used by somebody who wants to negatively affect Britney Spears and maybe put her in another conservatorship. They can use that and take that to the courts and be like, well, see how concerned her fans are about her. See how concerned that the people are that she's in danger, or that she's, off on some sort of fit, or like off on some sort of thing, or that she's not okay. Do you see what her fans are saying? They're calling the police because they're even in danger and we don't even know what's going on. So I think she needs to be back in a conservatorship and all of this. Like that can be negatively utilized. I'm not saying you're wrong for feeling how you feel. I'm just saying the execution may do more harm than good. So I think that there needs to be another way of verifying Britney's safety and wellness than calling the police because she did something like delete her Instagram account. I understand and I give validity to the veracity of the feelings, because we do, we have heard that she was locked away against her will in a mental institution. We have heard that she was held against her will. The conditions of her conservatorship were basically her being held hostage for 13 years in her own home and paying everybody's bills along the process, allegedly. So I understand why people are so concerned. I'm not saying that it doesn't make any sense. I'm just saying that we need to be careful in the way that we execute that concern, because it could backfire on her, not us. We aren't the ones that have to deal with the repercussions of somebody utilizing that type of information or that type of action negatively against Britney Spears. Do you get what I'm saying? She just got her life back. And I'm just saying the amount of exuberance that we're putting towards calling the police and making sure that she's okay. I think we should also put that same amount of exuberance towards finding another way to make sure that she's okay that doesn't possibly put her back in danger. That's all I'm saying. I'm gonna move on. Um, okay, so what is this I'm reading about Sally Field? I read a headline about Sally Field. Y'all know I just read the headline, and if the headline looks interesting, I throw it in the show and then I react to it in real time. And I just pick the headlines that I chose out that I put in the notes that look most interesting to me as I'm recording this. So, 80 for Brady star Sally Field lost it over Kelly Clarkson and Jane Fonda not safe for work moment. Sally Field and Jane Fonda may be teaming up for a football movie, but that doesn't mean the entire cast is familiar with the rules of the game. The legendary actress recently visited the Kelly Clarkson show to promote their upcoming movie 80 for Brady, out February 3rd. A part of the press tour, as a part of the press tour, the duo sat in a makeshift press conference room with host Kelly Clarkson and co-host Lily Thompson and Rita Moreno. As the quintet spoke with the reporters, Jane thought it would be the perfect time to inquire about a particular football position. I have a problem, and it came up a little bit during the game about tight ends, she said on the daytime TV show. I don't know what it means. I want one, but I don't quite know what it is. To help answer Jane's question, Kelly decided to get up from her seat and show off her butt to the Grace and Frankie star. But in the midst of her hilarious not safe for work moment, the voice coach realized that she also didn't know the answer to the question. Completely done with both Jane and Kelly's antics, Sally seemingly lost her cool and explained to them what the role is in the sport. It's a position on a football team, she yelled at Kelly and Jane from the other side of the table. It's a person who plays a tight end position. It's not on the body. Not wanting to let up on the joke, Jane retorted, why is it called a tight end? Sally responded with, because he's tighter in. He's closer. Given the hilarity of the entire exchange, it was no surprise to see Sally's moment of exasperation quickly go viral on TikTok. Fans instantly began commenting on it, saying how much they loved her reaction. One commenter noted, Sally Field screaming the answer is hilarious. I absolutely adore these women, but Sally Field is next level, said a different user. Sally Field getting frustrated is priceless, one other TikToker laughed. It is. Listen, I guess Sally Field is at a point in her life where she's only trying to be professional. She's trying to come in, get her coin, collect her shit, and go. So I don't think Sally Field was really here for the mess that day. I don't think she was really here for the shit. I don't think that she was really, trying to play these games. And if, and I haven't watched the clip, but pun intended, if Kelly Clarkson really showed her ass to Jane Fonda, I don't even think that that's appropriate either. I wouldn't think that that was cute either. Like if she just tried to, like bend over and like try to height, like or like something like that, trying to play like she know what she was doing without actually exposing shit, then I'd be okay with that. But if she really got up and showed her ass, I'd be like, sit your god, sit up, sit mess on television, showing your behind. I'd be upset too, and I'm not even a woman of a certain age. I project myself to be a woman of a certain age. I mean, I'm 31, but I project myself to be 44 at all times. It's the old soul. But yeah, shout out to Sally Field. She was like, girl, I'm not having that with y'all. Y'all is grown women, and y'all need to be sitting here and acting like grown women. Okay? What's wrong with y'all? Now, Two Chains done messed around and had a whole soul food Big Mama money stashed in the uncle's TV moment. Because according to Double XL, Two Chains finds his late father's hidden stash of money in the basement. It's giving soul food. And everybody should know that's how love goes. It's good for the soul. I love that song. Shout out to Cy Smith and Al Green. Anyway, Two Chainz recently got a pleasant surprise while getting a busted pipe serviced in his basement, discovering his father's old stash of cash. Last night, January 25th, Two Chainz hopped on his Instagram story to relay the incident to his fans. In the clip, the Atlanta rapper is sifting through what looks like hundreds of rolled up bills in a birthday bag. More cash is laying on the table beside the bag. Quick story, Two Chainz said in the video. I had a busted pipe in the basement. They fixed my pipe and they found, I guess this is my pop's old stash of cash. Two Chainz' father died in 2012, just as the Dope Don't Sell Itself rapper's solo career was taking off. Last March, Two Chainz talked about getting the hustler spirit from his pops during his digital cover story with Double XL, which focused on Titty Boy's business prowess. My my daddy sold bricks and he sold weed. Two Chainz told Double XL. My mama's mama, she was a bootleg lady. My mama was into real estate. When I was young, my daddy never had a job. I never remember him getting up early. I never remember him complaining about being in traffic from coming home late from work. I don't remember none of that. I remember Cadillacs. I remember my uncle having plenty of jewelry. I had an uncle who owned a liquor store, he added. He employed all my uncles. A lot of that stuff was just stuff that I was subconsciously peeping out, like how to do it by yourself. So I'm a hustler as well. Go off. Shout out to Two Chainz, done found his daddy money in the basement. I mean, done had a whole soul food money stashed in Uncle Pete's TV as like you better get your whole you. But that is so funny. Two Chainz got his whole soul food Big Mama ain't nobody cutting off my leg stashed the money in Uncle Pete's TV ass life. Shout out to Struggle Reviews. Hey Tyra. Um, if y'all watch struggle reviews on TV, I love the intros to Tyra's videos when she's like, "So if you just happen to get your Sherman ass life, that's not because of me." I absolutely love her. She is so funny. Go subscribe to Struggle Reviews TV. She is so funny. I can't wait till she comes on the show soon. But moving on, shout out to Two Chainz. They didn't actually say how much money it was in the pipe. And how does that money just exist in this pipe for this song? Like, was it in the pipe? And that's why the pipe busted? Like, how were the pipes working with this money stashed in here for this long? That is so interesting to me. Those like these are just curious things that just happen to come into my mind. I'm like, what like the details of this, they didn't lay into that. I would love for Two Chainz to give a more detailed story of how it happened. Maybe I need to go figure out where they put Two Chainz video at of his Instagram story. I wonder if it's still saved on his page or something. Because that's something I would love to see, like where he actually pulled the money from in this birthday bag. It's your birthday. It's your birthday. Okay, go off Two Chainz. Um, let's see. Okay, before I move on to Ask Ashley, I want to do this one last story real quick because I'll just read the article and then I'll give my comments and then I'll move on to Ask Ashley because I don't want to vex my spirit before this meeting that I have to get to right after this. God bless me for opportunities, honey, and I am going to show up and show out when the opportunity presents itself. Okay, so The headline is the FDA proposes easing blood donation rules for gay and bisexual men. The Food and Drug Administration on Friday proposed easing blood donation guidelines for gay and bisexual men. Under current rules, the FDA allows donation from gay and bisexual men if they haven't had sex with another man for 3 months. Where the rest of the article? Did I need to click something? Oh, there it is. In a draft proposal posted to the agency's website, the FDA said the new rules would allow anyone to donate blood regardless of gender or sexual orientation, as long as they haven't engaged in certain sexual behaviors in the last 3 months. That would mean most gay and bisexual men who are in a monogamous relationship with another man will no longer need to abstain from sex to donate blood. This is a great first step in getting in the right direction, Dr. Peter Marks, the director of the FDA's Center for Biologics Evaluation and Research, said on a call Friday. The new rules, he said, are consistent with those of Canada and the United Kingdom. Under the new guidelines, blood donors who report having a new sexual partner or more than one sexual partner will be asked about their sexual activity over the last 3 months. People partaking in oral medications to prevent HIV, such as PrEP, and people who have recently had sex in exchange for money or drugs will be subject to a 3-month deferral period under the FDA proposal. Those taking injectable PrEP to prevent HIV infection will be deferred for 2 years from their most recent injection. People with HIV, including those who take medication that drastically reduce their viral loads, would still be asked to not donate blood. Maintaining a safe and adequate supply of blood and blood products in the US is paramount for the FDA and this proposal for an individual risk assessment regardless of gender or sexual orientation will enable us to continue using the best science to do so. Listen, in a general sense, I am glad with the steps that are being taken. First, I'm going to be realistic and then I'm going to talk my shit. I am going to congratulate the FDA for taking these steps and making these steps. I feel like these are steps in the right direction. In theory, I can now donate blood, but however, my issue is that this is like real too little too late. Like, I feel like we need an apology. Like, I feel like we really specifically need an apology. Like, because these provisions are not things that are just these substantial, monumental leaps in science or medicine that are these new discoveries that now allow specifically gay men to now donate blood. It just seems like now you're finding a way to talk yourself out of a discriminatory ban. And it feels very like, oh, okay, we're gonna throw this bone here, and now we're gonna make it, we're basically gonna make everybody follow the same rules of we're gonna put everybody on a 3-month rule and based on this and that. Now, I will say, in all fairness, based on the context of the details that they put in the new restrictions and the new guidelines for donating blood, everything does seem completely fair and equal to everybody. But however, like I keep saying, this is not some monumental stretch of medicine or science that this couldn't have been done 15, 20, 25 years ago. I don't understand how these regulations couldn't have been in place in the early 2000s. I don't understand how these regulations. Yo, Sorry, what the actual hell? That was some other window I had open, child. My fault. Anyway, I just, for me, I feel like these bans could have been lifted or adjusted, or these protocols could have been put in place way before people like me were trying to donate blood in high school or in Job Corps or wherever, and were embarrassed because um we were refused the ability to donate blood because we were gay men, and because we were gay men that were sexually active, now all of a sudden we're denied, but yet those stipulations were not in place for gay women at the time. Like, it just seems very stipulated and very specific. And then on top of that, these regulations weren't things that were stipulated from the beginning. Like, these were things that we had to get there and just find out in the process. These weren't things that we were just told, in the pamphlet. You know what I'm saying? They didn't give us a brochure and say, "Hey, if you want to donate blood, this is what you need to know." Da 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 da. I'm sitting here trying to do my part. Like, it just seems very um like a backhanded attempt to slide an equal playing field across without acknowledgement of the years of specified discrimination. All of these same guidelines that they put in place, they could have put in place 20 years ago, 25 years ago. So while I appreciate the leaps and bounds that are being made, I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge that they are not leaps nor bounds. It is very um how sad that is, that it took God knows how long. I can't even remember how long this has been in place, at least since the 90s. This ban has been in place since at least the 90s. You know what I'm saying? And so it's really hard to celebrate it when it feels like it's something that could have been done 20 years ago. So, congrats. It's a great step, but it's just too little, too late. Face ass. Anyway, let's go on to Ask Ashley. Now, as y'all know, Ask Ashley is the segment where I read advice columns from three different women whose names all conveniently start with the letter A: Abby, Amy, and Annie. And I just, offer my unsolicited advice to people who wrote into other people's advice for their opinions. Let's get into it. As we do every episode, we start with the OG, Dear Abby. And her letter today, the headline is Dear Abby, recipient of hardship gift, buys cars, travels, doesn't purchase what money was intended for. Hmm. Dear Abby, I have a moral and ethical dilemma. I nominated a coworker for a benefit through our company. The person was awarded what I consider to be a good sum, $5,000 for replacement hearing aids. 7 months have gone by, and this person still has the check and hasn't used the money for its intended purpose. They bought two beater cars and took a trip to New York City. I feel like I was duped. Should I call the hotline and let the foundation know my suspicions, or should I let it go? I feel that this person got away with what I feel are dirty deeds. What to do? Signed, Regretting It in the West. Dear Regretting It, what to do is contact the foundation that sent the generous checks, explain your concerns, and leave the ball in their court. They may indeed wish to follow up and possibly inform the police if there was fraud involved. That's pretty cut dry. That's pretty cut dry and simple. If you think the person scammed y'all, if you think the person PPP y'all, if you think the person frauded y'all, go ahead, call the organization, leave an anonymous tip, let them know what you saw, and call it a day. And if they want to follow up on their money, let them follow up on their money. At the end of the day, it didn't come out of your pocket. So if they don't do anything, you've done your part as a person of moral foundation, and you reported it, and you saw something and you said something. And if they don't do nothing, that's on them. They lost the $5,000, not you. So good on you. Um, Now, when it comes to Ask Amy, a friend sees explicit message on catfishing friend's phone. That's the headline. We're still catfishing in 2023. We're still catfishing in 2023. I was looking to see what day this was published, not to see what year it was. I know we're in 2023, but I wanted to know if this was published in 2023 or in 2022. Anyway, dear Amy, I have three siblings. I am the oldest, 10 years older than my next sibling. My wife and I are now in our mid 70s. We are retired and live on Social Security, her modest teacher's pension, and a six-figure nest egg. Two of my siblings have large incomes and considerable real estate holdings. Another brother and his wife have professional jobs. All the grandchildren in the family are now adults and on their own. The controversy involves my 100-year-old mother, who lives in the East near my siblings in an expensive care facility. We live in another part of the country. My siblings insist that we share the part in equal measure. We have offered to care for my mother in our home at no cost to them, but they have rejected the offer. I believe that the contribution should be based on individual circumstances and ability to pay. The disagreement has caused a rift among us. Is there a solution here? Signed, Stuck in Stalemate. Stuck in Stalemate, excuse me. That makes me think of that Josh song, that Josh Stone song, Stalemate. I'm in stalemate with you. I love that song. Oh, shout out to Josh Stone. Go look up the video of Josh Stone performing that song on the Wendy Williams show. It will make you cry. Shout out to Josh Stone. Dear Stuck, moving your 100-year-old mother to another part of the country to live in your home does not seem like a viable option for anyone, especially her. If she is happy and doing well where she is, then she should stay there. I agree with you that siblings should contribute to an elder's care according to their circumstances and ability to pay. When your siblings choose to move your mother into this expensive home, you should have made it clear at the outset that it was unaffordable for you. Given your older age and more modest assets, you need to be more careful with your own spending, and your younger siblings might not quite grasp how for many people retirement brings on an extreme drop in income along with the possibility of increased expenses. This is a you can't get blood from a stone situation, but you should offer to be of service to your mother in order to share burden with your siblings. At the very least, you could offer to come to the area in order to be with your mother during the time when your siblings need to be away. I agree. That's a decent compromise. I feel like, there's only so much that people can do, and with you being the oldest, and with you being in retirement, there is a significant difference in the amount of income that you are able to bring to the table. Do you get what I'm saying? Because now you're on a fixed income, and now you're trying to help take care of your mother on a fixed income. I can understand how that can be taxing and challenging. I think that your younger siblings should be not only considerate of your mother, but also considerate of you, being that you are also older. I get that there's a 30-year age difference between your 100-year-old mother, but that doesn't mean that you are not also in your 70s and that you are not also retired and in your mid 70s as well. I do remember reading that you're in your mid 70s as well, which means you're closer to your 80s. So y'all are in just as much need of protection and care as your mother is. And I commend and applaud you for putting yourself at the mercy of your 100-year-old mother in your mid 70s. You know what I'm saying? If you are able to functionally take care of yourself and take care of your mother too in your mid 70s, that is freaking awesome and that deserves nothing but applause. And the fact that you're willing to do that as the oldest should be recognized by your siblings. I think that they should be able to recognize, hey, the oldest sibling is not able to pay because they are on they are retirement. They are retired, excuse me. They are on a fixed income and they have to, protect themselves as well because they're going into their old age. So if they're gonna last until they mama's age, then they're going to need to be able to hold on to some of that money too. Do you get what I'm saying? Um, yeah, I don't think that moving your 100-year-old mother to where you are is reasonable. I do understand the concept and the logic of that. The only way that I see that being feasible is if she's not happy in her retirement home and you move to where she is and be able to move her in. Hey, hey, Tosh. I think that the only way that would work is if you were to move to her town where her retirement village is, and if she's just not happy there, move her into a home that is local, that it doesn't require so much, strain and movement and heavy lifting and, extreme travel and, all of that. I think it would be much more easy for her to move, across town or, something like that than it would be to move across the country. So, with that being said, I think it would be easier, even though you are in your mid 70s, I think it would be easier for you to move to her rather than her to move to you, especially because you seem to be more functional and because you are volunteering yourself to be available to be at her service and to take care of her in a more physical sense when your siblings are in need of being away. It seems like it would be the more viable option for you to move to her. Um, I'm not exactly sure how you're going to figure that out. I would love to see some follow ups to these and see how this goes. But good on you for your mother being 100 and good on you for you being in your mid 70s and still being able to get around and move and travel and do all of that and to obtain and hold on to a six-figure nest egg in your 70s. I applaud you for that. That is awesome. um, but if you want to keep that six-figure nest egg, y'all gonna have to figure out some sort of other plan because unless y'all have some other business that is keeping a perpetual income coming in to also subsidize your wife's teacher pension and your social security, then y'all not gonna have that six figures much longer. Especially if your mama plan on living past this 100 years old. So moving on. Dear Annie, mother-in-law's eating disorder has family accommodating her worries about overeating. Okay. Dear Annie, my husband has confided to me that his mother had had an eating disorder in the past, and there are possible signs that she may have relapsed. When she visits us, she will exercise for hours daily, regularly disparage her physical appearance, and skip meals, claiming that she is too bloated to eat. I am never sure what is the best way to respond to her self criticism or her behaviors. My husband states that she saw a therapist years ago for this problem, but has not received any treatment since. He thinks she should be resistant. He thinks she would be resistant to any further treatment, but I cannot figure out why. Recent visits with my in laws have grown more tense, with my husband getting more angry at me for buying too much food and tempting his mother to binge eat. I've noticed that my husband and his side of the family are also significantly will also significantly restrict their food intake whenever they're dining with my mother-in-law, possibly to accommodate her worries about overeating or out of habit. I'm not sure what is the best way to handle this situation, both to reduce conflict between my husband and me when his family visits and to support my mother-in-law. What would be best to let them do all of the grocery shop? Would it be best to let them do all of the grocery shopping, meal planning, and cooking for themselves? I'm not accustomed to having my house guests take care of themselves, but I don't want inadver- I want I don't want to inadvertently make the problem worse either. I would appreciate your thoughts. Signed, concerned daughter-in-law. Yikes. Okay. Dear concerned daughter-in-law, you're doing a good thing by looking out for your mother-in-law. I'm sure your husband and his side of the family are well-intentioned, but it sounds like they are inadvertently enabling their mother's behavior, which will only make her eating disorder worse. According to the National Eating Disorders Association, family and friends can play an important role in identifying worrying symptoms. Many individuals now in recovery from an ED say the support of the family and friends was crucial to getting them well. NEDA suggests confronting your loved ones in private or using only I statements. For example, I noticed that you haven't been eating a lot recently, and I am concerned that you aren't getting enough food. Let her know that you're coming from a place of love and prepare yourself for denial, resistance, or even anger. Finally, offer to help find a physician or a therapist who can help. Contact the NEDA hotline at 800-931-2237 is the best place to start. Before taking the step, however, I recommend having a thank you so much. Oh, thank you, babe. I appreciate that. Thank you, Amari. Before you take this step, however, I recommend having a conversation with your husband. Voice your concerns and come prepared with research on EDs and their consequences. Once he realizes what is at stake, he will likely be more inclined to intervene. And seeing as it's his mother, you will want him on your side. Okay, so there's a lot of complexities to this that I am really worried about because, um, listen, as somebody who has suffered, slightly still suffers from an ED, it is a very complicated thing to approach and a very complicated thing to deal with. I think that you have the right intentions and you have the right thought process on trying to intervene and make sure that you're looking out for her health. But I think that the way that you're going about it may be also triggering. I think that coming and approaching her in private and using I statements is probably one of the best options to execute this. And um, I think that it is prudent for you to speak with your husband first. I think that you have to make sure that your husband is aware of how serious this is, because if he is not aware of the severity of the situation, he could interpret this intervention as an attack. And that's something that you don't want. You don't want the person who you want on your side, especially because, as she said, that is his mother, for to feel like she's on the attack. You don't want her to feel like that, and you don't want him to feel like you're attacking her. So I feel like there's a lot of care that you have to have when approaching this situation. I don't agree with you buying the extra food and doing all of that and tempting her to eat, because once she's in established eating habits, going on a binge like that could really affect her health. And eating, m- you know, drastically changing her eating habits for specific amounts of time like that could cause more harm than good. I think that if anything, have the conversation with your husband, get him on your side, have the conversation with her with receipts and recommendations for nutritionists and doctors for her to go to get better opinions and guidance on how to readjust her eating habits and what type of action she needs to take for her specific conditions. Um, yeah, I feel like that would be the best option for you to take in this situation, because it's all of this is dangerous. Like, all of this is really dangerous. All of this is really scary. All of this is really dangerous. And you need to be extremely careful and conscious of not only the person's emotional health, but the person's physical health as well. Those two things in situations like this tend to tie heavily in tandem. So, with that being said, good luck to you. Once again, I wish that I could find follow-ups to these to see um how these people go from here. Um, but yes, that's pretty much it. I'm going to close on that one because I have to get ready for this meeting and I want to make sure that I'm fully prepared and I want to go over all of my notes and everything. So, with that being said, I'm going to close here. I want to thank all of you guys for tuning into the show, everybody that stopped by, all the people who left comments and left love. Thank you so much. Tosh Boogie Fox, the Amari Dragon, thank you so much. Mwah. By the way, I do my hair myself. Ting. Anyway, thank you all for being here. I appreciate you so much. It means a lot to me. Make sure that you are subscribed to my podcast, Real Reality Realness with Brian K. James. Also, make sure that you are subscribed to my YouTube channel, Georgia Carolina. Georgia spelled like Georgia Smith, Jorja. Carolina spelled like both states. And Chaos and Charcuterie will be streaming live there and here as well on Instagram. Make sure that you tune into my Drag Race recaps, Drag Race recap with Giselle from the Who Asked Me podcast. Those air on Monday or Tuesday, depending on the day. And those air exclusively on my podcast, Real Reality Realness, as well as my YouTube channel, Georgia Carolina. Make sure you tune in here to Chaos and Charcuterie, which airs exclusively on Instagram at The Real Reality Realness, Real Reality Realness, on Instagram, as well as my YouTube channel, Georgia Carolina, Monday through Friday. Make sure you just come to the page and look at when I have the live scheduled out, because I don't have them scheduled out for a specific time each day. I'm working on getting that together, but with all of the interviews that I'm scheduling, sometimes I'm not able to, because I scheduled and started doing this live show in the middle of me having the interviews. I wasn't able to like put together a certain time because I was fitting this show in between my interviews. So sooner rather than later, I'll be able to schedule this out at a specific time and then start mapping my show, then start mapping my interviews around this, as well as all the other things that I have scheduled within my week. So with that being said, make sure you come to The Real Reality Realness on Instagram to find when I'm going to be going live. It'll be 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, but just make sure you come and look at the schedule to see what times I'll be going live. New episodes of Real Reality Realness come out every day, Monday through Friday, at 8 a.m. Eastern and 7 a.m. Central Time. Thank you to everybody that came on the show this week. Danny, Travis, Juju, Mark, Chauncey, thank you all so much for being here. Make sure you look out for London Gordon coming on the show on Monday. Make sure you're subscribed to Housewives History with Megan and Brian. We have so much coming up on that show as well. Stay tuned. Shout out to Megan for being a super producer over on that show. Also, make sure that you're subscribed to Lost in the Groove podcast and Real Reality Realness as well, where we're going to be doing a collaborative segment called Groove and Gravity, where we're going to be talking about the cultural and personal impact of our favorite music artists by dissecting their life stories as well as their legacies in the entertainment industry. So, with that being said, I will talk to you guys later. I love every single one of you from the bottom of my green heart emoji. Keep the mess in the message. Misbehave yourselves. Be real. Stay in reality, and always bring the realness. I am Brian K. James. This has been Chaos and Charcuterie, and bye. Peace.